All right, so today we're coming at you with another set of window wells. It's one of those things where I know I've already done one, but I wanted to show you another way to do a window well cover. The last version I did, the window well angle iron, was facing outways and it was fairly square. And this time around, I want to show you how to face it the other way and maybe get more of a round covering on it, but also give you some tips if you still want to face the angle iron the other way to do a window well cover. They're really popular. Almost everyone will ask you once you learn how to weld if you do window well covers. They're on sale. I was just looking last night. There are some companies running a special for $200 a pop, and that's for a standard size window. If you start going oversized or this or that, it could go up. If you want an escape hatch in it, it'll go up. So it can be fairly expensive for somebody, and they'll would rather pay you as a friend to put it in your pocket versus just a big company and do it for the same price. So I've got 3 that I need to make. I'm just going to go through one and I'm going to repeat the process on the other 2, so we won't hopefully need to take as long. But go ahead and leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you want, and we'll just hang out. All right, so here's my template for the window well. Ideally, you want to try and match these curves as much as possible. I told this person, a friend of mine, that if I was going to do a window well, I would love if he would draw me or trace a template with the piece of cardboard. Using the cardboard just helps me make sure I can match it up really well. So what we've done is I've already clamped the flat edge along there. And then I went ahead and used a piece of soapstone and I've traced it all the way out. Now, in order to get this bend around here, we're actually going to do a series of notches. So if I were to take a piece of angle iron and just like that, that's just looking down the side, and I put a little V and a V and a V, and I make those all equal, they will bend up at some angle, right? So what I've done here is I think I'm going to leave this straight, and I've got that straight, right? So I got these 2 straight lines that come in at this angle right here. And I've already used the protractor and I measured that out. And it's right around 79, 80 degrees. Okay? And I want to take and I have 1 piece of metal, 2 pieces of metal, 3 pieces of metal, 4 pieces of metal, 5 pieces of metal. So I went and kind of laid out how many pieces I want. Now you could do this with maybe just 2 bends or 2 cuts. I'm opting to go for 3 notches to have 5 separate pieces. And so I have my first straight. Actually, I think I have one more than that. So I've got my straight down here. So there's that. And I have 1 notch here. 1, 2, 3, 4 notches, 3 notches. And yeah, and it'll wrap around and make this angle right here. So 5 straight pieces. And anywho, so going back to this, we've got about 80 degrees is what that is. Or you could call it 110. Either way, we're not 90. We're about 10 degrees off of 90. And I'm going to take the number of bends I want to do, and I'm going to divide that up by my notches. And because I'm doing 4 bends, I'm going to have each one's going to be about a 20-degree notch. And so I'm going to take I'm going to find my spacing between each bend. So I'm going to bend here and bend here, and I've got to straddle 20 degrees. In order to do that, I have a center line coming out, and then I'm going to just take a 10-degree mark here, flip my protractor, do a 10-degree mark there, and it'll be even. If you do a bend or a notch like this and your notch is oblong or not equal, you may not get it to bend into this right radius, and it may not meet around on the other side, and you'll have to keep fighting it a little bit. Like we've done before, if you do a little bit of a relief drill right there at the peak, it will bend easier for you. Or if anything, do a little bit of a straight notch down into that valley. Don't try and bend this valley together without opening it up a little bit to add some relief so that they can fully close together. All right, so now that I've got that, essentially you just take your tape measure and you just start following this around. If I knew what the circumference was, the outside perimeter, that helps. So you can kind of take your tape measure and do that. You can break this up. I try and make this equal distances. So I think it's somewhere around about 5 1/4, 5.5 inches long per section on my bends. And I have a long straight, about 5, 5, 5, and then another short straight, and then we're going to do 5, 5, 5, and then we'll do another long straight. And I'm going to try and bend this out of one continuous piece. Adds to the structural integrity of it, and this will just fold up. So once I get I have my angles on my side, and I have my notch, my notch, my notch, and a straight, and then I have a notch, notch, notch. And so it'll have a little bit of a geometric kind of flow to it. Once I get that all bent up, right, just kind of tracing that around, I'll put a bar going across the back. This bar will go facing up while everything else faces down. And then how I'm going to attach it, put some center support, I'll put 2 more pieces of angle iron going from there to there to there to there, right? And this angle iron, as it sits down in here, these 2 leg points will actually hold on the inside of the window well, and this frame will then cover the outside of the window well. So it won't slide off, it'll stay put. It's kind of the opposite. The pros and cons of having your angle iron flip that way versus that way is if you have the angle iron sitting on the inside, it locks into place, it won't slide out. But if you have your angle iron fit around the outside, you have to make sure that it doesn't move. So these center supports I'm going to put in a way where they will lock in on the window well. So this black line is the interior of the window well, and this is the exterior of the window well. So as I make my window well frame a little bit bigger, I don't want it too exact, so I'm going to probably go an inch or so bigger overall offset. I'm going to put that piece of angle iron essentially right here so it'll lock it in. The other thing I've done is I went and I measured an inch down, all 36 inches, and I measured the width to the interior line because that was the most consistent. That way I can kind of take measurements as I go. Now, if I'm out on the job and I need to measure for a window well, you want to measure across the backside. You want to measure the depth. And then ideally you would want to know this curvature. Now, if you were to hook that back corner and take at least 2 measurements, you can even mark on your window well. You can get by with doing 1, 2, 3 bends. But if you were to at least measure 1, 2, and then that corner over here, 1, 2, you could essentially guesstimate that bend without having a template. Having lots of cardboard on hand, cardboard aided design, CAD, right? That helps. But if you don't have cardboard, you can take your paper out there, and let's say I've got my window well, right? I need to measure across here. I need to measure out to here. And this is a straight U, and those ones you're just gonna do a periodic notch. You would like to find that radius and do a periodic notch all the way around. But if I have that flat, I'm gonna take from this corner at least 2 spots out here, and then this corner, 2 spots out here. And that allows me to go boom, boom, okay? The more spots you pull from the corner, you could add more bends like I'm doing right here. And then you just need to take note of what those distances are and then the spacing between them. Because ideally you'd like to make those identical. So yeah, you got to pull a lot of dimensions. You probably need to pull from here to here then. Make sure that you know that distance. Make sure you know these distances right here. So having a little dry erase marker so you can wipe it off the window well helps as you mark those points. But you want to kind of start your first point maybe at the beginning of the bend, middle of the bend, end of the bend, and you'll be able to find that curvature, make it even space all the way around, and we'll notch it that way. So the other thing is if you wanted to bend your angle iron the other direction, to have it sit inside, the window well like that, you're going to need to cut a fill piece. Because I'm going to take my angle iron, if I have it rotated the other direction, I'm going to slice it, and then I'm going to have to open that up, and then I'm going to have to put a little pie wedge that's in, and then I will weld that in, right? And that's how I would do it if I wanted to sit it inside the window well versus outside the window well. Obviously, sitting it on the outside is quicker because you're cutting that out and then welding it together versus slotting it and then trying to cut a perfect triangle to fit in there. So there's, I guess, your pros and cons either way, but that's basically it. Of course, you know that I took all these dimensions and I put them into a CAD drawing, and I've got a plan. Why wouldn't I actually have a plan? So in order to set this up, I just wanted to make sure that I was good to go, and I made sure the numbers were crunching the way that I crunched them. So yeah, I got 20-degree notches because I have this 80-degree offset coming out. So we have 4 notches, 20, 40, 60, 80, okay? Pretty simple that way. All has to equal up. My total length of my angle iron is 106 1/4. And then I'm gonna straddle off a center, because if I go from one side to the other, I could end up with a long side here. But if I go off a center and I start moving my way out from center, I should have a symmetrical piece, okay? So that's why I pulled all my dimensions from center. I have all my overall dimensions over here, every single bend, width, height, so I can pull it off the table and make sure I'm good. But I also, I threw in those other ones so I would know them, but I'm gonna pull from center and work my way out. All right, that way I should end up with a nice even piece of angle iron that's equal on both sides, and it'll end up at the overall dimensions I have here. The overall width is supposed to be 53 or so, and the overall depth is supposed to be about 37 or so, all right? So I've got that ready to go, but essentially I'm gonna cut 3 pieces of this, 3 pieces on that 53 dimension, and then I'll cut 2 pieces at the 55 or 35. Sorry, 6 pieces. I'll cut 6 pieces at 35 to go across the middle, and then I've got a big sheet of expanded metal to cut and lay down. Hopefully we can do this quick and it doesn't take us too long. All right, there we go. We're ready.